Can anyone stop Yamal? Yesterday, Lamine performed a miracle again, this time in the style of the great Maradona. Colomuani broke out of the shower passage and has already set a record. In Juventus, Guardiola and Manchester City publicly humiliated Arsenal's Mikel Arteta. Such a disgrace has not happened to the Highlanders for more than 20 years, and Manchester United's anti-record continues to rewrite history, but alas, with brown markers. We talk about this and much more today. Friends, this is a dose of football and the top 10 hottest news to this hour. Charge your royal likes and we will work without weekends. 5,000 thumbs up today is a guarantee that a new video will be released tomorrow. Well, I wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. From his first minutes for Juventus, Randal Colomuani began to show football in the children's game for Eintracht. The Frenchman didn't have time to unpack his suitcases when he was declared for the match against Napoli, and at the end of the first half, he opened the score with a scored goal in the composition of the Old Senora. However, this still did not help the Turin people to achieve victory. But a goal in the debut match seemed to hint that Luis Enrique was wrong to marinate such a talent on the bench. In the following game, Colomuani also distinguished himself, and did it twice. His goals helped Juventus turn the result of an unsuccessful game against Empoli. With his realization, the Frenchman immediately entered the history of the Turin club, becoming only the second footballer to score in 2 debut games. Carlos Tevez was the first in 2013. If Colomuani excels in the upcoming match, he will set a unique record. Kenan Eldis, his new partner, also boasts impressive stats this season, drawing interest from other European giants willing to spend big on him in the summer window. According to Alia Gazzetta Dalla Sport, Manchester City, Chelsea, and Passage are prepared to offer 90 million for the Turkish winger. When such a talent ends up in your hands, it's hard to make a choice. On one hand, a footballer of Eldis' caliber could lead the old guard for years to come. At just 19, he's already displaying mature football skills. However, Vecchia Signora, the Turin club, is facing severe financial problems. This season, they can significantly improve their position by selling a single player. Moreover, the list of contenders includes far from poor clubs. In short, the Juventus management faces a difficult choice, and I still think they will agree to the sale. A couple of years ago, there was no constant owner at the Chelsea coach's chair. It often moved from backside to backside, not staying long under one specialist. Then all of Europe followed the events in the London club. After all, its owner changed. Instead of Roman Abramovich, Buell came, about whom the football world did not know so much. The American immediately began to throw money at Chelsea, buying those players that the then head coach Thomas Tuchel pointed out. And then, after a series of failures, the German was fired. This happened in early September. Many Chelsea purchases were futile, as the newly appointed specialist had a different philosophy, rendering some players unnecessary. Graham Potter's career was thriving before his Chelsea appointment, but he struggled in the London chaos and was dismissed after 7 months. Potter is now coaching West Ham United, attempting to save the London club from relegation, and it appears to be working. But recently he recalled his dismissal from Chelsea and called it the best event in his career, almost directly stating what a mess was going on in the London club at that time. I didn't want to lose my job. At the same time, looking back, I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me. The next 20 years will be remarkable thanks to the experience gained, the specialist stated. In fact, Chelsea really ruined the careers of coaches during that period. The club had no stability, no long-term plans. The strategy was just to buy footballers without any discussions. And try to work in such an environment when you're used to a completely different atmosphere. In the final match of Barcelona, nothing new happened for football fans. Laminiemal again amazed with his game. Already in the first minutes, he showed the Alaves players that it would not be easy for them. The La Masia graduate dribbled the ball from his half of the field almost to the penalty area of the guests, bypassing as many as 7 opposing footballers on the way. Moreover, this is official information. Even the La Liga translators got confused with the count of footballers that Yamal passed. After his literally slalom breakthrough, he made an accurate cutting pass to Rafinha. You can find a repeat of this epic football episode, as well as a review of the match itself, in our Telegraph. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Lamina really played out in the second half, when Hansi Flick made changes to the starting plan and made his footballers act more aggressively. Emil was simply unstoppable. The most surprising thing about this 17-year-old player is that his actions are not only insanely effective, but also super effective. If Yamal does something beautiful, it's not an action for the sake of action. It's always aimed at improving the position, developing the attack, or creating a dangerous moment. One of such unconventional techniques by Yamal led to a scored ball. In a tough spot, Wenger made a perfect assist to Robert Lewandowski. Tom easily scored against Laves's goal. No more goals followed, but Barcelona didn't need them. This ball brought victory to the Catalans and allowed them to reduce the gap from Real Madrid to 4 points. It seems that intrigue is reviving in the Spanish La Liga. Soon, a derby against Atletico is expected from the left, which will become one of the key matches of the season. Barca will be pleased with any result, especially a draw. This would reduce the gap, which can be eliminated in the next match. It's great that there will be intrigue for the championship in Spain this season. Watching the championship this way is more pleasant, especially after the Catalans' failures late last year. It seemed that the leaders would just fly into the stratosphere now, and they would be impossible to catch. The leadership of Milan is not only characterized by the instability of its actions, but also periodically stands out for its attacks on its own players. According to information, Zlatan Ibrahimovic visited the club base a few days ago. The Swede didn't just drop by to check on the reserves, he needed to talk to some of them. Ibrahimovic called Alvaro Morata, Davide Calabria, and Fikayo Tomori to him and in his own way advised them to leave the club. The Spaniard agreed to join Galatasaray, and Calabria did not resist despite a long-standing conflict with the head coach. The change should benefit the Italian, but the decision was not easy for him. Many said that it was time for Calabria to leave Milan, but he spent his entire life at this club, and such a step is a responsible decision for him. During the farewell with his partners, Calabria couldn't hold back tears. After 18 years, it's hard. I will miss everything that I've experienced here. I will always carry all the memories with me. I'm grateful for what happened in Milan, said Calabria. But Amari didn't regret leaving Milan, which caused a quarrel between him and Zlatan. The Englishman, courted by Tottenham to return home, opts to remain in Italy under Serge Conceição's guidance. This ongoing saga disrupts Milan's management plans. I believe they are heading towards dismantling the club after briefly tasting success and Serie B title contention. Because with such a mess in the management, you can't count on stability. They signed Marat, sold him after half a year, appointed a coach, fired him after half a year, appointed his successor. They are also preparing to leave. It doesn't seem like the top management is making long-term plans. Rather, as I said earlier, they will lead the club to something regrettable. Manchester United is writing history, only doing it with brown ink. In the last round, the Red Devils lost at home to Crystal Palace, not the most difficult opponent. The hosts started the meal well, but as usual, they gave up their positions in the second half, where they were caught by an enviable share. This defeat became the 7th at Old Trafford in this APL draw. Since the end of the 19th century, the Red Devils have not had such a terrible statistic in the first 30 home matches, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Undoubtedly, this team needs reinforcements, and the club's leadership is already working on them. According to the available information, on the last day of the transfer window, 1001 can make 3 more deals. You probably already know that the Red Devils have signed Lecce defender Patrick Durga. They also pulled out young Eden Heaven from Arsenal Academy. Now they want to strengthen the attacking line. Journalist Florian Plettenberg reports Aston Villa winger Leon Bailey is attracting interest. Manchester United recently sent Marcus Rashford to Villa. The clubs may still have relevant contacts, potentially leading to quick negotiations, but specific deal details are unavailable. Also, the transfer of Christopher Nkunku from Chelsea is not ruled out. This would be a great strengthening of the Red Devils' attack. All parties would benefit from such a transfer. Nkunku could regularly get game time in league matches. Chelsea would slightly unload its overloaded roster and its overloaded payroll, and Manchester United would get a top forward. Mateus Teixeira's lease negotiations are ongoing, with Bayern insisting on a purchase obligation at the end of the term, while Manchester United remains uncertain. Despite the Red Devils' apparent surplus of forwards, they've only scored 11 goals in their last 10 matches while conceding an alarming number. At the same time, the attack relies only on two players, Amadou Diallo and Bruno Fernandes. And if one of them gets injured, then in such a case it will create a danger at the opponent's goal. With them, it's difficult. Without them, impossible. Maybe this team really needs a complete overhaul of the attacking line. Lyon's management has promised fans that it will fix the club's financial situation by the end of this season. Otherwise, the famous French team faces a downgrade in class. Winter window. The management is trying to sell some of its assets to earn the necessary amount. Things are moving better than a year ago, when Lyon was on the brink of life and death. They've already sold players for 30 million, but on the last day of the window, the amount can increase several times. After all, negotiations are underway about the transfers of Ryan Cherki and Jorge Mikautadze. The Georgian has a great chance of moving to Serie A, where Roma is interested in his services. The transfer will cost the Roman management 30 million euros. Such a sum seems fair for this versatile forward, even though he has recently become a rotation player. According to a source, the purchase of Mikautadze is a personal request of the team's head coach, Claudio Ranieri, to strengthen the squad for the rest of the season. Under the Italian, the Romans play with two forwards, and Mikautadze should either replace or become a partner of Artem Dovbyk. However, it's unlikely that the coach will remove the team's best bomber. As for Sheketa, he is wanted by Borussia Dortmund. The management has made the purchase of the young French forward a priority. The footballer himself has already agreed to move to Dortmund, but now Lyon is waiting for when Schmeli will make a fair offer. According to rumors, it should be 22.5 million. And then Lyon will let his forward go. I understand that the management is working on improving the financial situation, and the sales were expected, but with these transfers, they significantly reduce the team's attacking potential. The coach will not have many forwards left, and there is still almost half of the season ahead. Although Lyon has practically solved the survival issue, and there is probably no point in counting on more, considering the club's shaky position. Nevertheless, they are not far from the Euro Cup zone, and at the same time, it wouldn't hurt to add another financial inflow to the club's piggy bank. Unlike many of its Premier League peers, Arsenal remains very cautious during the transfer window, even though the team needs reinforcements, especially when it comes to the central forward position. You've seen this blunder by Kai Havertz in the one-on-one against Manchester City. The German simply couldn't score almost into an empty net. And overall, the performance of this footballer recently has not been impressive. The Gunners need a forward who usually strikes not far away, but very rarely misses. Roman Stable says that Arsenal's management will go for such a footballer this summer. Probably big investments will be made in the summer. Češko and Isaac remain the players they want to get, but already in the summer transfer window. Let's see if Arsenal can find an opportunity, said the Italian super insider. A large sum will have to be paid for each of the footballers. Newcastle is demanding 100 million euros for the Swedish forward. And such expensive transfers in winter are rare unless the neighbors of the Blues can boast something similar. At least when it comes to purchases. The situation with sales is a bit more interesting. By the end of the window, Arsenal intends to part with Alexander Zinchenko, who Atletico really wants to bring in. According to authoritative resource data, the parties are considering two deal options. One report claims Madrid will buy the defender for $20 million immediately. Another suggests they will first loan him but must buy him for the same amount in the summer. Ultimately, it doesn't change much. Zinchenko will still be in Madrid permanently if the British tabloids' information is accurate. In my opinion, Atletico is more suitable for the Ukrainian defender than Borussia Dortmund, which also wanted to sign him earlier. The Madrid team loves fluid football, and a player without speed skills should be comfortable in this team. But Zinchenko reads the position well, and with his movements can ideally fit into Diego Simeone's football. In general, the transfer looks good both for the footballer and for the club. Cristiano Ronaldo is discontent with his time at Al Nassr despite his record salary due to the lack of trophies. In his 2 years in Saudi Arabia, Ronaldo hasn't added to his collection, aside from friendly club victories. The Portuguese star is unsatisfied but would like to play alongside his son. Therefore, he does not plan to leave Al Nassr in the near future. It's quite possible that he will stay there until the end of his career, although nothing can be ruled out, but there are no prerequisites for leaving at the moment. In short, the situation is uncertain. However, interesting details have emerged about what Ronaldo might do after his career ends. And you won't believe it, but his future will be at Real Madrid. Well, it might be there. Interestingly, this was revealed by Cristiano himself. Something might happen after I end my career. The best time in terms of football was at Real, the Portuguese said. What Ronaldo specifically meant by these words will be known today when the interview with the attacking journalist Eduardo Aguirre is released. Well, all we can do is guess. There was once a dream to see Messi and Ronaldo as coaches of Barcelona and Real Madrid, respectively, but neither the Argentine nor his Portuguese colleague showed any desire for such work. As you remember, I consider the Miami striker potentially a strong sports director. He did well to help Barcelona's management with deals. And you see for yourself how many legends have been drawn to Messi in Florida. Perhaps the Portuguese will take on a similar job, since he does not see himself in the role of a mentor. Well, or try to oust Florentino Perez from the post of club president. Ronaldo wanted to manage things behind the scenes instead of being in the spotlight for once. Of course, the president's job is quite public, but still not as much as a footballer's career. In general, more specifics will appear today. Let's see what position the legendary forward is claiming in the Madrid club. In the match between Espanyol and Real Madrid, a scandalous episode occurred that shocked the entire Spanish football community. In the middle of the second half, the home team's defender Carlos Romero committed a rough tackle from behind and hit Kylian Mbappe in the shin with his studs. Referee Alejandro Muniz Ruiz only showed the Espanyol player a yellow card for a violation that undoubtedly deserved a harsher punishment. Towards the end of the match, this footballer Carlos Romero scored the only goal in the match, which brought victory to Espanyol. After the game, everyone was puzzled because of the referee's decision. Carlo Ancelotti, who usually does not comment on refereeing decisions, also could not hold back and stated that Carlos Romero should have received a red card. Former Spanish referees Eturaldo González and Alfonso Burul also agreed that it was a clear red card. And how can you disagree with them? The footballer lunges in with a straight leg from behind, not even getting close to the ball, but hitting the other player's shin, who was gaining speed. This reckless act must be punished with a red card and disqualification for several matches so that the offender has time to think about what he has done. But no, everything went unpunished, and Real Madrid was not allowed to gain a fair advantage. Of course, after such an event, the club Antive Slivosne could not remain silent. In its own style, it commented on the episode, accusing the Spanish football authorities of deliberately harming the team. Such aggressive play could have broken a footballer. It's disgraceful. In general, Real has to deal with the dirty Liga Negreira. If the situation were reversed, the press would extensively cover it in headlines and articles. Royal Spanish Football Federation President Rafael Luzan knows what's going on and has given full power to Luis Medina Cantalejo, the direct heir of Negreira, who was mentioned on the club channel. Who is this Cantalejo, who Madrid TV called the heir of Negreira? He is the head of the Spanish Football Refereeing Committee. All referees from small to large are under his command. Well, of course, Madrid TV will not talk about the potential removal of its players in the recent Clásico. It's hard to argue that an unfair situation has occurred here. Espanyol's player should have been removed. However, there seems to be no trend towards bias against Real Madrid. And even on the contrary, referees often favor the underdogs. Guardiola was humiliated by his own student. Moreover, both on the scoreboard and on the field, Mikel Arteta acted quite ruthlessly with the former mentor. The first duel between Manchester City and Arsenal ended in a draw, with the Gunners then scoring a compensatory goal in the second half. Then Erling Haaland uttered a phrase that became a meme in the football community. The Norwegian told Arsenal's coach to be more humble, but Mikel Arteta ignored Haaland's words. However, Pep Guardiola listened to them. Following the Arsenal match, the situation deteriorated, eventually leading to a severe crisis. Since early this year, Guardiola faced mounting pressure. His team had an undefeated Premier League run until they faced Arsenal. What can be said about this game? Gorgian fought well against Manchester City until the second goal. They had chances to equalize or lead, but Phil Foden's second goal for Manchester City changed the game's trajectory. Surprisingly, Arsenal deviated from their usual defensive strategy against strong opponents when leading. Instead of sitting back after Thomas Partey's goal, the Gunners intensified their pressure on Man City's defense. And this defense trap of Gorgian was already cracking at the seams, so the attacking Arsenal had no trouble breaking it. After the final whistle, the scoreboard was burning with a shameful 5-1, and it was a real humiliation for Manchester City. Gorgian hadn't lost to Arsenal with such a terrible difference in balls for more than 20 years, when nothing was known about the Sheikhs in England yet. Guardiola has decisions to make about his future as Manchester City's head coach, with rumors circulating about his potential departure. The leadership of Gorgian is considering changing the head coach. Instead of Guardiola, Xabi Alonso might come, and such results only accelerate the arrival of the current Bayer coach. You can find the match review on our Telegram channel. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and for subscribing to the channel. My name is Kirill Kasta. This was your daily dose of football. Peace to your house and to you, Johanga friends.